I want to talk to you about something that people have been telling you wrong for a very long time. They mean well, the people who say it. Your pastor, your therapist, your well-meaning friends, they genuinely want good things for you. But somewhere along the way, an idea got planted deep in the ground of this culture, and it grew. And now it feels like truth. The idea is this: you must forgive in order to heal. And if you haven't forgiven, you haven't healed. And if you haven't healed, it's because you haven't forgiven yet. You're still holding on. You're choosing your own suffering. You just need to let go. I have sat with a lot of people over my long life. Elders, young ones, grieving mothers, men who carried anger for 40 years. And I want to tell you what I have actually seen, not what sounds good in a sermon, but what is true. Some people forgave, and it healed them. Some people never forgave, and they healed anyway. And some people spent so many years trying to force themselves to forgive, feeling ashamed that they couldn't, feeling broken because the forgiveness wouldn't come, that the trying itself became the wound. So sit with me for a little while. I want to offer you something different. There is a story I carry from the elders of my tribe. A man was wronged deeply by another man. His land was taken. His family was dishonored. He carried that injury for years. His children watched him carry it. One day, a young woman in the tribe, known for her gentleness, came to him and said, "When will you forgive him? The anger is eating you alive." The old man was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I do not need to invite that man back into my house to stop thinking about him." The young woman didn't understand, but the elder who told me this story did. And now, after all my years, so do I. Forgiveness, in the way our culture talks about it, means something very specific. It means releasing the person who hurt you from the debt. It means saying, in some deep interior place, it's okay. We're okay. I no longer hold this against you. And for some wounds, that is possible. For some wounds, that is even beautiful. But there are other wounds. Wounds where what happened was not okay. Where saying it's okay would be a lie you tell yourself just to feel like a good person. Wounds where the person who hurt you never apologized, never changed, maybe never even admitted what they did. Wounds where forgiveness, if it means anything at all, would need to come from a place that simply doesn't exist in you yet, and maybe never will. And my question to you is, why should you have to manufacture something that isn't there? My people had a different word for what the healers in the tribe offered those who were wounded. The word meant something closer to releasing the grip. Not releasing the person, releasing the grip that the wound had on you. It is a small distinction, but it changes everything. When you grip something in anger, a memory, a betrayal, a loss, a name, you feel it in your whole body. Your jaw tightens, your chest closes. Something in you is always half present in that old moment, that old pain. Part of you never left the room where it happened. Releasing the grip means you stop living there. It does not mean the thing didn't happen. It doesn't mean the person deserves a different judgment. It means you are choosing, consciously, deliberately choosing, to bring yourself back to the present. to stop donating your todays to someone who already took enough from you. There is an old saying, I have heard it in different forms from many different peoples. Carrying anger is like holding a burning coal and waiting for someone else to feel the heat. You are the one getting burned, not them. And the burning does not become noble just because what they did was wrong. I want to be honest with you about something hard. There are people who genuinely cannot forgive. Not because they are weak, not because they are spiritually underdeveloped, but because what was done to them was so severe, so violating, so fundamentally wrong that forgiveness would require them to minimize their own experience, to make themselves smaller so that someone else could be let off the hook. I think of survivors of deep abuse, of people who lost children through the cruelty or carelessness of another, of those who were betrayed not once, but slowly, over years, by the very people who were supposed to protect them. To sit across from one of those people and say, you need to forgive to heal, I believe that is its own kind of harm. Because what you are really saying is, your pain is too inconvenient. Please package it up neatly so the rest of us can feel comfortable again. Healing does not require you to do that. Healing requires something else entirely. It requires you to grieve what actually happened, let yourself feel the full weight of it, not forever, but enough to find safe ground to stand on, to slowly rebuild a life that belongs to you again, not to what was done to you. That is the work, and it is real work, and none of it requires you to forgive the person who started it. Now, I want to say something to the other side of this, because there is another truth, and I would not be honest if I left it out. Holding anger for a lifetime has a cost, not because you owe the person who hurt you anything. You don't, but because you only have one life. And if the fire of that old wound is burning inside your chest while you eat dinner with your grandchildren, they feel it. Not the story, just the heat, the distance, the part of you that isn't quite there. That cost is real. So when I say you don't have to forgive to heal, I am not saying stay in the anger forever. Wrap yourself in it. Let it define you. I am saying don't let anyone tell you there is only one road out of pain. Don't let anyone hand you a map and say forgiveness is the only bridge. Sometimes there are other ways across. Grief is a bridge. Time, real time, not rushed time, is a bridge. Speaking the truth of what happened out loud to someone who actually listens, that is a bridge. Creating distance, physical or emotional, from what hurt you, that is a bridge. Choosing day after day to invest your energy in what is growing rather than what is gone, that is a bridge. You may reach the other side and find, to your own surprise, that something like forgiveness arrived quietly, not because you chased it, but because you stopped needing it to come before you could move. That happens too. I have seen it, but it cannot be forced. And a forgiveness that is performed rather than felt is not forgiveness at all. It is theater, and the body always knows the difference. I think about my own life. I have been hurt. I will not pretend otherwise. There are things done to me and to people I loved that I have not forgiven. Maybe I never will. For a long time, I felt guilty about that, like I was failing some test of character that everyone else seemed to be passing. But then I got older, and I watched. And I noticed that the people who claimed to have forgiven everything, who wore their forgiveness like a badge, many of them were still the angriest people in the room. The forgiveness was a story they told. Underneath it, the coal was still burning. And I noticed something else. The people who were most at peace, the truly, quietly, deeply at peace ones, they were not the ones who had forgiven the most. They were the ones who had grieved the most honestly, who had looked at what happened, named it without dressing it up, let themselves be sad about it, and then, slowly, turned their faces toward what was still good. Peace is not the absence of anger. Peace is knowing that the anger doesn't get to make your decisions anymore. So here's what I want to leave with you today. If you are carrying something heavy, and I suspect some of you are, because you don't get to this age without collecting a few wounds along the way, I am not going to tell you to forgive. I am going to tell you this. You are allowed to say what happened was wrong, fully wrong, without softening it, without finding the lesson in it before you're ready, without making it okay so that other people can stop feeling uncomfortable around your pain. You are allowed to protect yourself from the person who hurt you, whether they are living or not, whether the wound is fresh or 40 years old. You are allowed to heal on your own timeline, not the one the books suggest, not the one your family thinks you should be on. Yours. And you are allowed to build a beautiful life, a genuinely, deeply beautiful life, without ever finding it in yourself to forgive the person who tried to take that possibility away from you. Your healing belongs to you, not to them, not to the idea of who you're supposed to be after something like this. To you. The river does not ask permission to keep flowing after the storm. It just flows. And eventually, in its own time, at its own pace, by its own quiet choosing, it runs clear again. So will you.